spy a rather large number of monster prints on the ground. A wry smile plays across your lips as you remove the scrap of paper from your pack. You pull from your pack the scrap of paper you picked up just north of Castle Advent. You feel around in the grass for a few moments before your hand strikes something surprisingly firm. The scrap of paper tells no lies. You greedily open the chest. Cypri has lived here for many years, conducting research on monsters. When he catches sight of the ragged doll in Melanie's hands, his face slackens in shock, and he reaches out for it. Without breaking his gaze away from the doll, he begins to speak. Cypri tells you he gifted this doll to his young daughter a long time ago, but she fell gravely ill and died. Since then, Cypri has treasured this doll as he treasured his daughter. Then the monsters took it from him. Cypri turns to Melanie, his head bowed deeply in gratitude. So you reclaimed the treasure by complete accident. You step closer to Cypri. What do you know about the dragon? You rudely inquire. Cypri gestures as if to say, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Far to the east of town is a place called Unionville, where monsters and humans live together in harmony. According to Cypri, you might be able to learn something there, as the dragon and monsters are not totally unrelated. Upon hearing that, you turn on your heel to leave. Cypri calls out to stop you. Journeying to Unionville entails traversing the dense expanse of the bewildering wood. You'll need this, he says, and holds out something for you. You won't make it through the bewildering wood without it, Cypri says. Your sights set on the distant Unionville, you resolve to navigate through the bewildering wood. A place where human and monster coexist, Cypri sighs in longing. How I'd like to live there myself. The leaps and bounds my research would make. Now that she's reunited with her stolen skin medicine, the woman couldn't be happier. All thanks to the heroes from the Ivory Order, she says. A huge smile on her face, she begins applying the medicine all over her skin. Apparently, the woman is being harangued by some man who keeps asking her out. I don't know how many times I have to tell him he's just not my type, she sighs. The man, who no longer smells, told the person he likes how he feels, but he was still rebuffed. The smell may be gone, but he's still determined to polish himself up for that special someone. A thick fog impedes your vision. You surmise this is in no small part why they call it the Bewildering Wood. Many a brave soul has set foot in this wood, only to be swallowed up and never seen nor heard from again, the traveler intones gravely. They also tell of a certain tool one needs to get through this place. A message is written on the sign. Seek out the force stela hidden deep in these woods. Let's do this. Trees bearing very solid-looking nuts whip to and fro in the force of the gale. This doesn't bode well for you. One of the nuts flies off the tree and smacks you right on the head. The pain brings tears to your eyes. You have found the southern stela. You smack it and hear a sound off to the west. You'd best head that way next. A bunch of nuts fly off from the trees, but you and your friends hightailed it out of there before any of them could hit you. The man sighs, realizing he may never be able to escape with his current tool set. Let's do this. Found the northern stela. It doesn't look particularly special. You resolve to touch it anyhow. One of the nuts flies off a branch and smacks Mar right on the head. Poor Mar clutches the spot, eyes tearing up from the blow. Nice work. hear a beautiful melody flowing from the forest depths. It sounds like singing, or perhaps birdsong. As if drawn in by the voice, you head deeper into the forest, where you find a woman playing a stringed instrument. "Why won't the right words come to me?" she laments, her fingers stopping on the strings. Hearing her sigh, you offer to help her with her song. "Very well then. Please finish this verse," she responds, then begins to sing. You shout the words in a loud voice. The woman's mouth hangs open, wide. The words are so plain, perhaps overly so, which is precisely why they pierce the heart, she says, your cheap words somehow resonating with her. She entreats you to let her use your lyrics. Imagining the royalties, you happily agree. The next stela is, you hear someone murmuring. It sounds like a man, but you can't really be sure in these woods. Oh? You have found the eastern stela. You see the words Melody of Fortune chiseled into the corner. You take a peek inside the grass and immediately it seems like the harpy hasn't yet noticed you. You pick up a rock and throw it at the monster's feet. Startled, the monster flaps its wings and flies away. You find some coins scattered about where it stood. I need to hit the stela every single time I want to go home. What a pain, the frowning woman sighs. You have found the western stela, which you swear up and down was not here when you came in. Nevertheless, you give it a smack. You have found all 4 of the stela in the bewildering wood. On a perhaps related note, you hear a sound emanating from the east. You imitate Mars' mule, but though you pity the poor soul, in the end you gain nothing from the exchange and leave the woman to her song. The woman appears to be lost. How do I get out of here? She asks with furrowed brows. Don't hold back. Excellent. You examine the stela. The message carved into the stela reads, "Play in tune with the forest." You hold the woodland flute you received from the good doctor in Thriceton. You slowly back away from the stela. Doot 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 doodly doot 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 doo. You blow a handful of pleasant enough notes into the woodland flute. You soon become aware of accompanying percussion, which reveals itself to be a series of impeccably timed footfalls racing toward you. A young woman appears before you. "That was absolutely dreadful," she whinges, her jaunty gait betraying her enjoyment. She calls herself Riddis and declares herself a woodlander, resident of the bewildering wood. By sheer coincidence, the flute on which you played those notes was one designed to call the woodland people to your side. Stunned by your good fortune, you ask Riddis to lead you eastward out of the forest. What luck! She agrees far more readily than you ever anticipated. But, she continues, extending her hand, you'll have to hand over the woodland flute first. You hand over the flute, firmly restating that she may have it on the condition she leads you out of the bewildering wood. Riddis plucks the woodland flute out of your hands with glee and begins playing it as she skips away. Well, playing is a generous term. It sounds as though she may as well be murdering the poor thing. Riddis makes it clear that the fastest way out of the woods is through woodland, where she lives. "It's that-a-way," Riddis says gleefully, pointing past the stela before you. "Welcome to Woodland," Riddis says, gesturing out over the village. "Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm quite busy for the rest of the day, so you'll have to wait till tomorrow to leave the forest," she says, and makes her way home. "Welcome to the forest oasis," the man greets you warmly. You happen upon a man greedily guzzling well water. Could it truly be that much better than ordinary water? Riddis pores over a book while practicing on the woodland flute. She remains dreadful at it. The instant you begin speaking, she nearly leaps out of her skin and hides the book. She somehow hadn't noticed you. I thought you were the debt collectors. You can't sneak up on me like that, she stammers, struggling to regain her composure. You take note of a woman who appears quite ill. As it turns out, she is none other than Riddis's mother. She is in no small amount of pain. Will you give her something to ease her suffering? The item you've proffered has no effect on her illness. But I appreciate the thought all the same, she says with a smile. Riddis's mother hands you mysterious card 3 as a token of her gratitude. She begins speaking of Riddis, who has been preparing the medicine that helps her get through the day. She blames her illness, and therefore herself, for making Riddis's life so difficult. The more she talks, the more her face drops. You learn that Riddis's family is mired in debt and living hand to mouth. And I know how they got in so much trouble, the rumor mongerer says deliciously. We are not in the business of meddling in the personal affairs of others, Melanie says curtly, cutting her off. Apparently she's heard rumors of the dragon destroying another town somewhere. Our village would burn down so easily, she mutters, perhaps a bit more afraid of the symptom than the cause. This shortcut is reserved for use by woodland citizens only, the guard barks, clearly unwilling to let you pass. Been a while since we've had any outsiders, the innkeeper says, beckoning the party inside. It turns out this inn is simply a place where the poor, lost souls trapped in the bewildering wood may recover. You may stay as long as you like, free of charge. The wooden dining table practically groans under the weight of the platters upon it, all brimming with meats and vegetables from the bewildering wood. I've certainly earned this, you say to yourself, as you slide into your seat at the table, positively drooling over the feast before you. Melanie takes no note of your boorish behavior, uttering a small prayer of thanksgiving before reaching for a plate of vegetables. Mar sits, eyes fixed on the food upon the table, statuesque in his stillness. What a good boy. Mar clears the entire table in a matter of seconds, even emptying the water barrel in a single gulp. He lets out a self-satisfied burp that sends a small jet of just-drank water arcing out onto the floor. The sun sinks low, and the day draws to a close. A scream pierces the silence. Fire! You leap out of bed, adrenaline coursing through your veins. The others follow suit, and before long you've burst through the front door and into the street. Riddis's house is ablaze, a nearby villager screams. My mother is still inside, Riddis shrieks, darting past you to fetch water from the well south of the village. Douse the flames with water, shouts the man. Water from the well. Riddis is gathering water in an attempt to fight the blaze all on her own. Melanie tosses a nearby bucket into the well and hauls it up by the rope. But she hasn't the strength to raise a full bucket out of the well. She releases the rope and examines her raw, reddened hands. None can say she did not try. Mar's eyes light up. He scrambles over the edge of the well and sucks the well dry in an instant. He pokes at his swollen belly and gestures toward Ridis's house, as if to say, "Get me back there, quick." "Quickly, put it out. You have to put it out," Ridis screams at Mar. Mar douses the house with the water he sucked up from the well. The fire is reduced to mere embers, and all is well. Or so you think. Something darts out from behind the house and attacks. Fortune favors the bold. Oh? The fiery beast dispatched, you return to putting out the last of the blaze with Mar's help. Ridis's mother, now safe, tells you the creature came out of nowhere and set the house aflame. What would bring a creature of fire to a place like this, you wonder? Light breaks on a new day, and the commotion of the fire feels but a nightmare. You lead your party to Ridis's house to ask for safe passage out of the bewildering wood. You follow the curious sounds to their source, our resident well water lover, digging at the dry well with his bare hands. He digs and digs, but no water is forthcoming. What's worse, he has injured his hand in the process. Melanie beseeches you to help the poor man. But well digging was forbidden by our ancestors long ago. You've heard the legends, you protest. How is that the best lie you can come up with? She snaps back, appalled. The man turns towards you both, oblivious to the squabble playing out before him. Do you have any salve that might ease my pain, he asks. You say you will give it to him, but you have none to give. Make way to the apothecary and buy some, if you wish to help him. You hand the man some salve. The instant he applies it to his hands, he resumes his furious digging, this time punctuated with shouts of "I feel incredible." Not long after that, water erupts from the ground with a force unlike any you've seen. He sidles up to the jet of water and begins drinking from it as one would from a fountain. He is once again in his element. The man hands you mysterious card 4 to show his appreciation for the salve. Apparently she's heard rumors of the girl heaves a sigh of relief after learning the fire wasn't the dragon's doing. You didn't hear it from me, but the cause of the fire was, she whispers baseless gossip in your ear. Though spared from complete collapse, Ridis's home has been thoroughly scorched. Ridis's mother tells you she was once deceived by a crooked merchant and plunged into debt. Ridis has been working to repay the debt ever since her mother took ill. You lightly press your thumb and forefinger to the corner of each eye, a mixture of sadness and anger swirling within you. Ridis sits alone in one of its rooms, the air thick with the smell of char. There shouldn't be any fire creatures for miles, she grumbles. She says the monster appeared while she was playing the woodland flute last night. As to why any monsters, let alone fire monsters, appeared, well, Despite the circumstances, you ask Riddis to lead you out of the bewildering wood as promised. I did promise that, didn't I? She says wearily, rising from her seat. The poor girl is clearly still in shock. Why do you want to venture out beyond the bewildering wood anyway? She inquires, as she gathers this and that in preparation to leave. We are in search of the dragon, you say valiantly, adding, the reward will be significant should we defeat him. Honesty is the best policy. Sounds like a real risky way to make a living, she replies flatly, feigning interest. A group of Ivory Order people came through here just the other day, she explains. You connect the dots with malice. Those three, you seethe. At last, Riddis is ready to depart for the edge of the bewildering wood.